Have you ever looked at some huge, game-changing project and just wondered, how did they even pull that off? We always see the shiny, finished product, but what about the messy, complicated journey to get there? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the blueprint for turning those big, ambitious ideas into reality.
It really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Whether you're talking about a revolutionary farming method that could feed millions or a massive sustainability project that could help heal the planet, the fundamental problem is always the same. How do you go from a concept on a whiteboard to a real, working thing that actually makes a difference in the world?
It turns out the secret isn't just a lucky break or some magical flash of genius. Nope, the most successful large-scale innovations, they all follow a clear, repeatable framework. It's a blueprint, and it's all about making the right connections at the right time.
And this whole blueprint, it's built on 3 core pillars, and they are all about connection. First, you have to connect the right people, the visionaries and the people who get things done. Then, you connect the right activities, all the processes that turn those ideas into action. And finally, you have to connect the right resources. That's the fuel that keeps this whole engine running. If you can get these 3 connections right, you've got yourself a powerful roadmap for innovation. So let's start with the first one, which is arguably the most important of all, the people.
Right. So everything, and I mean everything, starts with people. You could have the greatest idea in the history of ideas, but if you don't have the right network of individuals, groups, and organizations behind you, it's just never going to go anywhere. This is all about building a coalition for creation. The main idea here is something called value co-creation. Now, don't let the academic-sounding term throw you off, because the concept is actually pretty simple. Truly groundbreaking stuff isn't created by one person locked away in a lab. It's born when you bring all sorts of different groups together, engineers, community leaders, customers, farmers, and they all pitch in toward a common goal. It's about creating with people, not just for them.
So what does this look like in the real world? Well, we see a few key strategies pop up again and again. First, you've got innovation intermediaries. You can think of them as project matchmakers. A group like Food and Fiber Gippsland is a perfect example. They orchestrate these huge projects by connecting dozens of different partners. Then there's this really cool idea called entrepreneurial bricolage. Basically, it just means being scrappy, using whatever tools, skills, and resources you can find to get started, especially if you're a small company. And holding all of this together is social capital. That's the trust and the relationships that are built up inside communities and industries.
And that social capital isn't just some vague idea of networking. It actually breaks down into 3 very distinct critical types. You've got bonding capital, which is that deep trust you have with your immediate team. The people are right there in the trenches with you. Then there's bridging capital, which is your link to other worlds, say connecting your tech startup with the farming community. And finally, there's linking capital, and that's your connection upward to people with the power and resources to make things happen, like government officials or big investors. You absolutely need all 3 to build a network that's strong enough to survive.
Okay, so you've got the right people connected. Fantastic. But what are they actually going to do? Well, the second part of our blueprint is all about connecting activities. This is where the idea starts to become real and actually deliver tangible value. We call this part value delivery. It's the process of linking up all the different operations and practices to make the project actually work. This is the how. This is the engine room of innovation, where all the theory gets put into practice.
And this is where things get really, really cool, because you start to see how different activities can link up in these powerful, unexpected ways. For example, the food, energy, water nexus. That's not just a buzzword. It's these brilliant projects where, say, waste from a farm is turned into energy, and that energy then powers the farm's water systems. It's a complete sustainable loop. Or look at digital technology, where smart sensors in a vertical farm aren't just collecting data, they're letting experts hundreds of miles away collaborate in real time. This is what people mean when they say breaking down silos. But look, connecting activities isn't just about the internal stuff. The single most important connection is with the outside world, with the community. You could design the most amazing energy from waste facility on the planet, but if the local community is worried it's going to cause pollution, your project is dead on arrival. You can plan a world-class seaweed farm, but if the locals think it's going to harm their coastline, you've already lost. This connection isn't a nice-to-have. It's everything.
This all leads to one of the most powerful concepts in the modern world, earning a social license to operate. And let's be crystal clear, this is not a piece of paper you get from the government, it's the trust, the acceptance, and the genuine approval that you earn from the community. It's something you have to work for every single day. Without it, your project is basically built on quicksand. The takeaway is simple but so important. You have to connect your project's goals with the community's values.
All right, we've connected people and we've connected their activities. Now for the final crucial piece of this puzzle, connecting resources. Any idea, no matter how great, needs fuel to survive and to grow. This is all about ensuring the project is viable for the long haul.
And that brings us to our third connection, value capture. This is where we have to answer the tough questions. See, it's not enough to just create value. You have to figure out how to capture it. How does this project actually sustain itself? How's it going to get funding, not just to launch, but for years to come? This is what makes an idea truly sustainable and allows it to not just survive, but to actually thrive and scale up.
And we see some brilliant examples of this out there. Look at the cleverness of alternative business models. Like a farmer who isn't just a beef farmer anymore. They're also an exporter of premium seaweed to Europe. They've connected two totally different resource streams. Or look at enhanced infrastructure. When you build a cutting-edge tech hub like the Morwell Innovation Center in an old coal town, that's not just a building. It's a magnet for new talent, new ideas, and new money. It's about being creative and connecting resources in ways nobody ever thought of before.
Now, one of the most powerful ways to capture value is through a model called scale-up by replication, or you could call it the one-to-many model. The logic here is so simple but so effective. You perfect one thing. Let's say one super efficient smart hothouse. Then, instead of just building a bigger one, you copy it. You build 10 or 100, all connected to a central hub. And suddenly, you don't just have a bunch of hothouses, you have an intelligent, powerful network. This is how a single great idea can scale to have a truly massive impact.
So, we've gone through the three core connections. But why does this blueprint matter so much? Because it takes the mystery out of innovation. It shows us that big successes aren't an accident. They are the result of a deliberate, strategic process of building connections.
So let's just tie it all together. The entire blueprint stands on these three pillars. It all kicks off by connecting people so they can co-create and build those essential networks. Then you connect activities to deliver real value by linking technology and community needs. And finally, you connect resources to capture that value, making sure your project can not only survive, but grow. And here's the key. None of these pillars can stand alone. The real power is in how they all work together.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. This blueprint isn't just for some huge agricultural project. It applies literally everywhere. So think about your world, your industry, your community. What people, what activities, and what resources are just sitting there waiting for someone to connect them? Because the next big breakthrough, it might just be one connection away.